Okay, so over here, I just would like to make a few very simple adjustments. I'd like just to raise this temporarily because at some point I may need to enter some attributes for my work schedule and some of the methods here, so that's why I sort of did it this way. But over here, the work schedule, in fact, let me make this such that we can essentially highlight these boxes, right, with certain colors, right? And so we'll use maybe a different shade over here. Okay, let me highlight these. Okay, so the relationship between these two classes that I would like to explore is simple association, and again switching to regular simple association, right? So this class is connected with this class. Essentially, work schedule knows about the time slot, and I put an asterisk on the side of the time slot. So just to remind everyone that the asterisk represents the multiplicity, which says as many as you want. In other words, work schedule has time slots, and the number of time slots can be 0. The schedule can be empty. That's perfectly fine. And then it can have any number of time slots. We're really not capping the maximum number of time slots. So this just specifies the multiplicity, okay? If we don't have time slots to access the work schedule, only the work schedule has the list of time slots, then we can also add an arrow over here and essentially specify that the work schedule has a list of time slots. That's what it really means, right? Okay, so as promised, let's just quickly, I already started my NetBeans, and hopefully I can find the right location for my project. This is officially our week 8, so let me try, say new project, create new project, and put this under week 8 demo. Yes, I would like to create main class, and main app will be my choice for the name, so that I can easily spot that specific class in the application, and just say finish and create this application. All right, so we're going to have our main app, and the plan is pretty much right now to right here, we're going to have a work schedule created, right? So we can have by the way, a very quick note that perhaps employee itself may also have, different type of employees could be derived from the employee. However, I'm not going to explore this area too much because, clearly you can have a consultant, a part-time worker, a full-time worker, and management personnel, and all kinds of, variety of employee types that your application domain may need, right? So I'm not really focusing on this area, but just a reminder that the employee support in this application is likely to be very important as well, right? But we're going to focus mostly on our area of the time slots, right? So we're just going to focus on these specific, let me just do better outlining here so that we don't expand too much with our coloring any of this. And so our focus is going to stay on these primarily going to stay on these on the hierarchy of the time slots, in our application here, right? So, so that's what we want to focus on: the workday, the weekend, and so forth. Okay, so that part right now, and of course, again, I forgive my sloppiness to some extent over here. I need to get a little better with my drawing. Okay, so anyway, so this is the hierarchy of objects that we want to explore. All right, so let's see. And remember, another challenge was that we wanted to make sure that we do something good about the managing the creation of these time slots. All right, so let's work on these things. Okay, so the plan is that most likely because this is just a demo program, all I am planning to do is to say work schedule equals new work schedule, right, with some parameters maybe. So there will be a constructor for this type of class, right? And then we can interact with the user and have them enter some time slots, right? So that would be one type of use case. Later on, we can have the user run some reports, and perhaps one of these reports or actions or separate use case would be compute pay for a specific employee for the time slots in specific date range or everything that's on the schedule. So in other words, we want to say schedule add time slot, right? And whatever the parameters are over here, I have yet to decide. I don't know exactly, because I said that I would like to consider this to be a significant part of the system where creation of particular time slots is yet to be decided, okay? Because I haven't decided fully on this just yet. So before I do all this, let me create the rest of the classes so that we can at least start compiling this application. So right now, just avoid that for now and save this. Going back to my project and immediately add a bunch of classes here. So for instance, of course, the work schedule is something that I need immediately. That's obvious, right? So we're just gonna keep that. The work schedule is going to be my class. Of course, it needs a constructor, right? Needs constructor, which has to be apparently public, right? And this public constructor will most likely populate the array list of time slots as promised, right? So this is actually we will name this time slot list, right? We have this list, and so we're going to populate this list of time slots. Then if that's the case, of course, we need to create it. Perhaps our constructor may be responsible for doing this. I'm going to say new array list of time slots, right? So that's, I have this kind of habit to be able to write some code using class names or object names or method names before I even added them to the system, right? So anyway, but most likely this work schedule is going to be private, right? So this work schedule will encapsulate useful methods to work with this array list of time slots, right? So a typical example of this would be public compute pay, right? And this pay will be for particular employee ID. Employee ID, or something like that, right? Employee ID. right? So we'll provide employee ID, and this compute pay will return perhaps a double, right? Double value for the amount of dollars we have to pay. Okay, so that's there, just an example of an operation. Another, so for now, to be able to compile it, I'm just going to return 0.0, right, so it's the default implementation. The next thing is, of course, that we need an array list, either imported or specify its location in Java package, right, so we're just going to say util array list. Time slot, obviously, we're going to create that. Let me just create it and then go right back to work schedule and add a little bit more functionality to it. So these are my constructors. Right, so far there's default constructor, and these are my obviously data attributes. Most people won't add comments like this to the code because it's obvious that these are data attributes, but nevertheless, I'll make that distinction here. So, right, so the time slot, I need that, right? So let's go here. And gonna add another Java class, gonna name it time slot, gonna say finish, and this specific thing, let me see what type of attributes I may need with this time slot. I may need definitely I'm gonna make them private and start hour. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to use like military clock hours, like from 0 to 24 hours, and just essentially use an integer values for hours. Like, and so here I can add comment. So this is going to be 0, 1, 1, which means 1 a.m., 2, 3, right, and all the way down to 23rd hour, which is 11 p.m., right? So that's the start hour for the sake of, demo, something simple like that. End hour, right? Or I could use like duration, but I'll just have people say, you're working from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. and from 8 a.m. this would be from 8 to 17, right? That would be the range. And we can compute the hour span from there, right? By the way, why don't we do that right away? Operations, right? In the operations, we can say int or public int duration, right? Just duration, like how long is this duration? So that would be what? It's basically taking the end hour, minus the start hour, something like that, right? And returning it, pretty much returning it. So let's save all this so far.